Am I live? Can you hear me?
Wish I could mute sometimes.
Well, every year is a new year for all of us.
Probably quit football if I had to play for somebody else.
This is how you build a team.
Okay, this is where we got to get better, and this is where we got to keep growing.
Just really pleased with the effort, the energy, the focus.
We always are implementing new stuff.
And the future is what Patrick Mahomes said, which is 20-0. That's what we're aiming for.
I just wanted to prove to the coaching staff and my teammates how much I love football.
I want to just master the offense.
My priority is always winning.
I'm trying to win the Super Bowl. He's going to get paid. He knows that.
Hi, Cam. How you doing?
Sensational.
You know, if you want the fastest, strongest, most powerful, violent, tough, rugged dudes, guess what? You train like you fight like you train.
I actually went to dinner with him and his wife, Andy and Nick. They've been awesome to me.
More from Justin Fields, who spoke just a little while ago, is coming your way, plus a live report from Bears camp on the plan for Fields to sit behind Andy Dalton. You're going to hear from other players and coaches, as you just saw there at camp across the league. Welcome to NFL Live. Also today, we're going to talk about Baker, Josh, and Lamar. Who gets paid first? When will they get paid? Could be a lot sooner than you think. You see him right here, Dan Graziano, Keyshawn Johnson, Marcus Spears here with you for the hour. Let's roll, guys. We begin with the Packers. And while Aaron Rodgers continues to have fun with the beautiful mystery that is his future, the Packers are getting closer and closer to the reality that Jordan Love is their starting quarterback. The next date to circle on the calendar for Rodgers, July 27th, when the Packers officially begin training camp. Here's Matt LaFleur today on the quarterback situation.
We're excited about a training camp. We're excited about this football team. I think the character of this team is really high. I think, you know, the challenge is, can you recreate that magic that, you know, we've been able to the last couple of years and become a close-knit, connected team with great player leadership. It's the same message it's been all the time you're only one play away. So you always have to prepare like you're the starter, and just to be very intentional about the work that you put in to go out there with a purpose, to be mindful in the moment. Every rep for him is so critical, whether it's on air on his own or it's with us in 11-on-11 situation, and he's getting that constant coaching. And I think he's done a great job of you know, embracing just the whole situation.
Look, this is meant as no offense to Jordan Love. I know when you say that, sometimes it actually means you are offending somebody. But anyway, you can almost see the ghost pass before LaFleur's eyes as he starts to realize it might be time to really prepare for Jordan Love to be the starter for the Packers. So, Marcus, is that what the Packers players should be doing? Should they prepare that Jordan Love is their starter?
Well, let's get it popping right now, El Boogie. You damn right. He better be preparing for Jordan Love to be the starter, because his former MVP has given him no indication that he's going to show up this year to be the starting quarterback. I know they still holding out hope. And the one thing is that this is your job as Matt LaFleur. Like, this is the critical point. This will be a big chapter in the book of your coaching career, how well you got this kid prepared in order to play with all of the extenuating circumstances. So I'm looking forward to seeing their approach and as they move forward. And all of these players on this roster, especially offensive guys, these wide receivers, they better be buying into Jordan Love as well. I understand of the relationships with Aaron Rodgers and all of the things that they've built over the years, but this kid is there. He's there at camp. He was there at OTAs. These guys need to rally around Jordan Love until something changes, which I don't believe it'll change. So Matt LaFleur, all of these offensive guys, this offensive line, running backs, you got a young quarterback that's looking like he's going to have to be the starter. Don't sulk about the situation with Aaron Rodgers. Get ready to play football and have Jordan Love at the helm.
Hey, I can tell you this though, Marcus. You mentioned falling in love with something, and the falling in love is with the football. That's who the receivers depend on. They don't give a damn who's throwing it to them. It's just about getting it to them. And I think Jordan Love has the ability to get the football to those wide receivers. And look, this team is a championship caliber team. It looks different with Aaron Rodgers than Jordan Love or any other quarterback for that matter. But when you look at this roster, it was put together pretty good. They're coming off 2 NFC championship appearances. This is not chopped liver. They got guys like Kenny Clark on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, they've gotten Devontae Adams as a leader on the offensive side of the ball, and Jones. And I hear a lot about Aaron Rodgers, and I would love to have Aaron Rodgers as my quarterback if I was on the Green Bay Packers team right now. You damn Skippy. But the reality of it is I know that there's a huge chance that I'm going to be without Aaron Rodgers. So I have to depend on the defense, depend on the offensive line. Aaron Rodgers wasn't blocking anybody when Aaron Jones was running the football. He wasn't stopping people on the defensive side of the ball. When you think about the championship game, Aaron Rodgers didn't get those 3 turnovers. The defense did. So you can manage the situation if Jordan Love has the capability and understanding how to get him in and out of the huddle, process and decipher, pre-snap, post-snap reads, and throw the football to the guys that's open. And they'll be fine. They may not win a Super Bowl, but he can grow into this role 100%. We've seen many young quarterbacks come into situations where a team has had success and take over and do well. Ben Roethlisberger eventually won a Super Bowl with a veteran team, and he was a young quarterback. Mark Sanchez came in and went to 2 AFC championship games as a young quarterback with a veteran team. So I'm not ready to just poo-poo everything just quite yet.
Yeah, Key, we're looking at some of the footage of Jordan Love on the field. You're the one that last week said he was kind of reminding you of Aaron Rodgers a little bit with how quickly he was getting the football.
Mechanics, Laura.
Key, you said it, so I just want to remind people if they missed that. All right, Graz, did the Packers have any intention of trading Aaron Rodgers?
No, Laura, as of now, they still don't. Look, they still want to find a way to bring him back and have him be their quarterback in 2021. And quite frankly, just from a business standpoint, it doesn't really make a lot of sense for the Packers to move right now because until they're 100% convinced that he doesn't want to play for them again, meaning they've started training camp or they've started the regular season and he hasn't shown up, then there's really no reason to jump. The draft picks they would get in return are 2022 draft picks that are still going to be the same picks whether you trade him now or in September or next offseason. So the Packers right now, they're working with Jordan Love and the players that have been in camp. But as of now, they do not intend to trade Aaron Rodgers. That could change if he convinces them that he won't play for them. But right now, their position is no, he's going to play for them or for nobody.
You know, Graz, I'm glad we could start the show off with your favorite subject, Aaron Rodgers. What, Marcus, quick?
Them 3 highlights from Aaron Rodgers look so good.
Lord, I know. That's the thing. People are like, man, y'all are ragging on Jordan Love. It's like, no, but when you've got Aaron Rodgers as the alternative, it's kind of hard not to think about that. All right, coming up next on NFL Live, we'll hear from Justin Fields. He just spoke, and it was for the first time since Matt Nagy named him QB2 to start the season. Is the quarterback battle over or just getting started in Chicago? Stay with us to find out. And later, we get an update from Browns camp. The expectations for Odell Beckham Jr. coming back from injury. How much better will the Browns be with OBJ back in the mix? It's all coming your way on NFL Live.
He looked really, really good. Says he's feeling better, feeling good. I know he's working his butt off, to be great. So really impressed with his ability to come back as quickly as he had. Good to see him back in the mix and feeling better.
It looks really great after seeing him run and really just talking to him as well. He feels comfortable. He's still getting used to some of these cuts and certain, motions. But I mean, you're talking about 7 months since the surgery, so it's pretty impressive how quickly he's come back.
For more on the Browns, Jake Trotter, our Browns reporter, joins us from the land. Yesterday, Jake, you kind of got everybody riled up talking about how great OBJ looked at practice. You've seen him in action. You've seen this Browns offense in action, but let's focus specifically on Odell. What can you update on for today?
Yeah, Laura, no fireworks today. Odell was actually on the bike, did not really participate in this practice, and that was all part of the plan. Get him 2 days of work, get him some rest, and then get ready for training camp. And I asked Alex Van Pelt, now that the Browns are preparing to insert Odell back into the lineup, how is that going to change the way defenses play you? How did it change? How did the defenses play you after Odell got hurt last year? And, he said he's expecting teams to double Odell, to roll coverage to Odell, and that's going to create favorable matchups for Jarvis Landry at wide receiver. That's going to create more running lanes for Nick Chubb. So the Browns offense, with everybody back across the board, including Baker Mayfield and his entire receiving core, Odell is going to make things easier for them once he gets back into the lineup.
Yeah, Jake, that's kind of what we thought would happen a couple years ago when they added Odell. Of course, ended up being a little bit of a bump in the road last season. We saw a little more of what this Browns offense can look like with Kevin Stefanski. Let's talk about Baker Mayfield. What's different about this offseason for him?
Yeah, and you were talking about, Odell and Baker and how they've tried to develop The chemistry hasn't always been clean in the past. But I think the Browns are expecting a different Baker Mayfield. The Baker Mayfield we saw at the end of last season. This is the first offseason he hasn't had to learn a new playbook. Remember, he had 4 different head coaches his first 3 seasons in the league. This is a different situation. So they feel like he's going to be able to build off the way he finished last season and then incorporate Odell into the offense instead of at times forcing it to him like we saw at times in the past.
Yeah, I think that's really important and a great point by you, Jake. Thanks so much for joining us. And to that point, if you look at those numbers, they are undeniable. You're seeing them right here. Baker Mayfield threw 17 touchdowns to just 2 interceptions when Beckham wasn't playing, compared to 9 touchdowns and 6 picks when he was on the field. It at least makes you think a little bit, although, listen, maybe there's not as direct of a tie as we're trying to make with some of these numbers. So, Key, based on the splits for Baker that you just saw, is there any cause for concern with a guy like Odell returning to this Browns offense?
No, Laura, no, not at all. I think people want to make it an issue because his numbers got better when Odell Beckham left the lineup. But that's just because the team got better overall. The system he was more comfortable with. He was 7-3 with 10 games to go, right? And then he was 15 touchdowns and 2 interceptions after Odell Beckham left the lineup, but that's just because the team got better. That was the first year that they was in this offense. They had no offseason. They didn't really have a training camp, and it was a new system. So when you think about it, he's in the right spot, and I think Odell Beckham is only going to make them better. You would be a fool to think Odell Beckham does not make this team better. People would be crazy to think that. They would be crazy.
Crazy?
Point, man, taking the focus off of OBJ. It's the maturation of Baker Mayfield at the QB position and Kevin Stefanski and figuring out how to make sure that OBJ is ingrained in this offense and he's able to do the things that he can offer from a dynamic playmaking standpoint, but not to focus on the fact that OBJ is on the field and Baker Mayfield is a worse quarterback. That ain't Odell Beckham Jr. job. His job is to run routes, get open, catch the ball when it's thrown to him. And now he's fighting that he has to stay healthy consistently. It was similar to just feel for guys and how you operate as a quarterback. T.O. was in Dallas with Tony Romo. That hit immediately. And obviously, T.O. is a Hall of Famer from 06 to 08. And then 08 to 2010, Roy Williams came in and they didn't have that type of rapport that Tony Romo and Terrell Owens had. But that had a lot to do with where Tony Romo was as a QB. It had a lot to do with the system and the scheme and him trusting the plays that were coming from the sideline. This is not about the wide receiver. This wide receiver, Odell Beckham Jr., is as dynamic as any wide receiver in the NFL. Now it's the job of Stefanski and Baker Mayfield to make sure that that doesn't take away from ultimately them having a really good offense.
Yeah, and I think they have a lot of confidence that they can do that. I mean, talking to people there this offseason, they feel the way, Keyshawn feels. It wasn't the loss of Odell Beckham that made the offense better. It was the time spent learning the offense in the first half of the season and growing into it for Baker Mayfield, for Jarvis Landry, for all those other players. So they are excited to get Odell Beckham back this year in that offense. They think he can do some great things for them and elevate the offense even further. He's coming along well in his recovery, as we've heard this week. They'll work him in probably slowly in training camp and get him ready for the regular season. But there are things that Kevin Stefanski wants to do with this offense that involve Odell Beckham, and I think he's excited to get to work on them.
I'm getting back to you, Marcus. 1 second. It's interesting because I do think a lot of this is going to have to do with how Odell handles the rehab process, because he's going to want to be out there as quickly as possible. And we heard Jake even tell us he's on the bike today. That's part of the plan. Marcus, you have said this is a Browns team that could be a dark horse to be a Super Bowl contender. What's their ceiling in your mind this year?
I think their ceiling is AFC Championship and having a chance to beat the Kansas City Chiefs, having an opportunity. Obviously, I don't believe that on the field, Cleveland is better than the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't believe that, America, before that gets put out here. I do believe that they are currently constructed. I do believe they currently constructed to have a great chance at beating the Kansas City Chiefs, even the team that they took to the brink last year. And let me say something else about this damn OBJ Baker Mayfield, because I don't know why I get so upset about this. Did we not watch Tom Brady and Mike Evans struggle to get on the same page at the beginning of this season?
Godwin too.
Those things happen. Guys figure it out as the season goes along. This team is riddled with talent, L Boogie. They have a defensive plan, and if they can stay healthy on the back end, you could argue that this will be the best secondary in the NFL holistically. This team is a dark horse Super Bowl contender. It's going to hinge on what we just talked about. Baker Mayfield's maturity and how well Kevin Stefanski answers the questions that defensive coordinators are going to give to him this year after a year sample size of what they do offensively.
There's about 5 teams, Swagoo, that are Super Bowl contenders in the AFC outside of Kansas City. There's really legitimately about 5. They just need a couple breaks to go their way. Talking about Odell, the one thing that I would say, having been injured in my career before, it's all about patience. If he can stay patient on the field and not get caught up in worrying about what other receivers around the league is doing, things of that nature, and just kind of bring himself along slowly, he's going to be a major asset for the Cleveland Browns. No question about it. They're gonna run shop around people in the passing game.
Key, we gotta go, but who are the 5 teams?
Came a long way.
I know. Who are the 5 teams, Key, in the AFC?
Came a long way.
No. Answer my question.
Came a long way
who
from
are the 5 teams?
You came a long way from throw me the damn ball.
Yeah. Well, listen.
Hey, I didn't say.
He's not playing.
See, you was 12 years old. Man, you don't know nothing about that.
Anyway,
what you want to
Key,
ask me, Laura?
Answer my question. Who are the 5 teams that you think are dark horse Super Bowl contenders in the AFC outside of the Chiefs?
You got Buffalo, right?
Okay.
You have the Titans.
Yep.
You got the Browns. You got the Ravens, and I am missing the Denver Broncos with Aaron Rodgers.
What? Okay. Denver, that 5th one. Listen, everyone's going to agree with you if they get Aaron Rodgers. All right, coming up on NFL Live, we'll get an update from the Chiefs camp. We're talking about the AFC. What's the vibe like for the top dog in the AFC? Is their new offensive line good enough to help them go undefeated? Someone here says it's better to be lucky than good.
Football field.
Ed Werder joining us live from Kansas City. Ed, Chiefs with big aspirations. They're really leaning into this 20-0 thing, but they can't do it without a healthy Patrick Mahomes. How's he progressing from injury?
Yeah, Laura, the Chiefs completed their minicamp with multiple reasons for optimism. The first is the health of Patrick Mahomes. When he's playing, the Chiefs will be favored against nearly every opponent and seldom disappoint. Mahomes is 4 months removed from surgery on his left foot, performed after the Super Bowl to repair ligament damage. He can extend plays and manipulate the pocket like few other quarterbacks, but he was pressured 29 times in the Chiefs' Super Bowl defeat, the most in the history of the game. Mahomes participated fully in the minicamp this week, although head coach Andy Reid said they were somewhat cautious with him. Still, Mahomes said today that he was able to move around, scramble, do all the things he felt necessary. And then, of course, Laura, there's the case of Tyrann Mathieu, who's in the final year of his contract and recently expressed concern that he might have to get his money elsewhere. But, Laura, he said today he values the relationships he has with his teammates and coaches and can't imagine himself playing in any other uniform.
Yeah, that feels like maybe we're close to getting some sort of deal there that he likes. And I love it. With Patrick Mahomes, the biggest key is that new O-line. Thanks so much, Ed Werder, for joining us from Kansas City. Mark, as you heard it, is 20-0 a realistic goal for the Chiefs?
I mean, it's a realistic goal. It's not going to happen unless it's luck. Like, listen, man, this conversation, I understand the favorite and how Vegas is going to have games that Patrick Mahomes is playing in. It's too damn hard to go undefeated in this league. And the teams that have an opportunity to do so, they need to say that's their goal. We don't prepare all of those hours Monday or Tuesday through the rest of the week to lose on Sunday. So every team's goal should be that. But it's the Chiefs, so we give a validity to it because of who their quarterback is. But the bottom line is, for you to go undefeated in the NFL, it's luck. And I don't think I'm telling anybody anything new. You got to deal with injuries. You got to deal with at what point in the season do you rest starters if you are on that path. More important to getting to a Super Bowl than going undefeated. All of those decisions come into play. But health and injury obviously is the thing that derails most teams from having an opportunity to go undefeated.
They certainly should try to go undefeated if they can. But they got to do I'll do coach speak for you. One game at a time. We got this team this week. We took care of that one. Let's win the quarter. We beat the Browns and the Ravens and the Chargers and the Eagles. Let's move on to the Bills. Let's see Washington. One game at a time. Do it in quarters and see what happens when you stack it up at the end. There's nothing wrong with saying going 20-0. The New England Patriots tried to go undefeated. They got derailed in the Super Bowl. This is what Swagger was talking about. It's luck, and it is extremely hard. It's not like college football. When you say to yourself, you got to go undefeated to play for a national title, it's not like that. It's not that situation, Laura.
Hey, Key, look at this weeks 5, 6, and 7. You got Bills, a really tough Washington defense on the road. You got Titans. Like, where's the loss? Is it in that range? I might circle that range. What do you think? Anywhere else?
No, you just don't know. What is Washington going to be? Yes, that defense was really good last year. But what if they're not as good? What if they're not as good as they were?
All right, Kiba, I want to know. So, Marcus, what do you think? Where's the loss? Put that schedule back up.
That loss could be week 1, Laura.
Okay, that too.
Did you see the team up there? It could be week 1.
Woo.
It could be in the NFL. It could be any week. It could be any week in the NFL.
Yeah,
you know
any
that.
week. But I'm looking at. I don't want to skip down to week 5.
Yeah.
The Browns and the Ravens and the Chargers are not going to be cakewalks for the Kansas City Chiefs. Like, I understand it, and I see what you're saying. By that time, teams start to hit their stride a little bit. But the first 3 weeks, which you are still trying to figure out things about your team in this particular year, you could lose. They could drop one of those.
Man, they have a gauntlet early on. All right,
voice get high when
I know you got really fired up there. Speaking of those first 3 weeks, elsewhere in the AFC West, the Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert got some high praise from surefire Hall of Famer Drew Brees. Of course, Drew Brees out there being a broadcaster, and he's out there watching Chargers camp. He said, I think his physical tools are as good as anybody I've ever seen. By all accounts, he's a great worker. He's got great leadership qualities. He's got a lot of intangibles. I'm trying to read this off the screen for some reason. I think I need to get what am I doing? I need glasses over here. I feel like Adam Schefter. All right. Anyway, he says the sky's the limit for Justin Herbert. Key, will Herbert take a step forward or a step back in year 2?
I think he takes a step forward, right? I think when you look at it, yes, he started to fade a little bit there in the fourth quarter of games last year. But overall, when you are this hot as a rookie quarterback, you don't see rookie quarterbacks that's this hot with the talent around them all of a sudden fall off a damn cliff, right, Laura? He's 4,300 yards in the air, 31 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. They only get better because now they know what the National Football League is all about. And I think he's here to stay. I had an opportunity to watch him play in college when everybody was down on him after the Arizona State game. I got a chance to see his private workouts. He is here to stay. I promise you, in the end, he'll be the best quarterback that we'll be talking about in a few years.
Yeah, Key, I would love to make this segment controversial, bro, but I agree with you. I mean, but what he put on tape, and listen to what Drew Brees said. He has the talent and the physical skill set, and it's as good as he's ever seen. Drew ain't telling no lie. We all watched Justin Herbert last year. Find out 5 minutes before the game he was going to play, and played tough. Yeah. And look, the one thing about this kid, first of all, let me say this. Pep Hamilton, the quarterback coach, did a hell of a job getting Justin Herbert prepared each and every week to play in these games. And he let that physical skill set show itself. Justin Herbert will continue to play well because it ain't like he got scrubs around him either. Keenan Allen, one of the most underrated wide receivers in the league. Mike Williams, big playability. Austin Eckler got injured at the latter part of that season, which I think hurt them late in games as well with not having a run game. This ain't going to be no cakewalk. Justin Herbert is here to stay. I'm with you, Key, on that. Now, the question always, now they have a book on you. Now they have a sample size. How do you make the adjustment? And that's going to be Justin Herbert's biggest hill to climb. But I think this kid is poised to be dynamic.
Hey, Marcus.
But Swagoo, you know they get a book on you after the first 6 games of a season anyway. They already know what he is, and they still wasn't able to stop him.
Marcus, you're picking Justin Herbert to have the most success out of that 2020 class over Joe Burrow?
Hell no. I ain't say all that.
Well,
I'm just talking about his ability.
I was just clarifying there. Key said it.
I am. I ain't got no LSU love. I don't feel that way.
What?
I got
He's a Bengal now.
Pac-12 love.
All right, not a Bayou Bengal.
Pac-12
He's a Cincinnati Bengal.
I'll tell you what. When that season started, the most impressive rookie quarterback before he got injured was Joe Burrow.
Yeah, I agree. All right, we got more coming your way on NFL Live.
I'm going to leave that there.
Yeah, leave it right there. Let's talk about Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, and Baker Mayfield. They are entering their 4th season in the NFL with a Super Bowl in their sights. Is a contract extension on the horizon as well? Graz will tell you why their big paydays could be right around the corner. Don't miss it.
Guns it downfield. Touchdown, Buffalo. Lamar Jackson down the sideline. Touchdown. Mayfield rolls over to the right. He's going to run. He's in. Touchdown.
Take down Lamar Jackson. I can run too.
The clock is ticking. My ambitions will outlast the pressure. It's now or never. Now or never. Yeah, the time is now.
5 quarterbacks were selected in the first round of the 2018 draft. 3 of them could be in line for an extension ahead of this season. Baker Mayfield, who just led the Browns to the playoffs for the first time since 2002. Josh Allen, who just set single-season franchise records in pass yards and touchdowns. And, of course, Lamar Jackson, the NFL's 2019 MVP. Here's what all 3 had to say about getting an extension.
I'm in no rush because I'm just trying to win games. And like I said, it'll handle itself.
I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm not really focused on that right now. I'm focused on getting me a Super Bowl. I'm focused on getting better.
I'm just trying to be the best quarterback that I can be for the Bills, and that's why as players, most of us, not all of us, but most of us have agents to take care of that side of things, and that's the most thing I'm worrying about right now. I'm just trying to find ways that I can get better and be better for this team and help us accomplish the goal that we want to accomplish.
Do they all read out of the same book for what you're supposed to say if you're trying to get a
I couldn't do nothing but laugh. I'm just like, come on, man. But that's what, hey, Marcus, that's what you say when you're getting ready to get that bag. Oh, yeah. I'm just working to be the best player I can possibly be.
Marcus's face right now is that I'm getting ready to get that bag face. Graz, are any of these quarterbacks in line for an extension before the 2021 season?
Oh, yeah, Laura, I think it's entirely possible all 3 of them could get extended before the season starts. Wow. Look, you go back to last year, Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson did their deals after year 3. You go back a couple of years ago, Carson Wentz and Jared Goff did their deals after year 3. That didn't work out so great for those teams, but the flip side is you hold off like Dallas did with Dak Prescott, and it ends up costing you a lot more. So I think with these 3 guys, the teams are all in on them, and I think, in the cases of Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, Lamar's won an MVP. Allen has kind of played at an MVP level this past year. I think they're in line to get top of the market type of deals. I think it'll be interesting to see which one goes first, and then who decides to top the other.
Now listen, y'all know damn well everybody in the world in a rush to get $40 million a year. All right?
Be nice.
Coach speak. Anyway, Graz, I got a question for you, man. Is it any hesitancy, or is it any does it get a little murky in Baker's situation because of just one really good year of an entire season? Like, what's those conversations like within Cleveland?
I think the Cleveland Browns are interested in talking about an extension with Baker Mayfield. Whether it gets done probably depends to some extent on sort of what he's looking for. Is he looking to break the bank at the top of the quarterback market? They may not be willing to go there in light of his performance relative to, again, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen. They like Baker Mayfield, but I think they would probably tell him he has to recognize that he hasn't performed at that level. That may be, when he says he's not in a hurry, maybe he wants to put another year on tape and then slide in at the top of next year's quarterback market. So if he's looking for starting quarterback money, I think they're willing to pay him that. If he's looking for top-end starting quarterback money, I think they might be a little more hesitant.
Look, I look at this thing as, and I say to myself, in all honesty, who's better for the Cleveland Browns than Baker Mayfield? Like, what quarterback out there that you can get that's better than Baker Mayfield that you feel you're going to save money on? There isn't one, especially in the system and the style in which they want to play, which is simple. Right? Play action pass, hand the ball off to Nick Chubb or Kareem Hunt, throw it to OBJ or Landry, keep your turnovers down, and manage the game. Give us the throws that will help us win games and not the ones that'll lose them for us. That's it. It's not that complicated. You absolutely pay Baker Mayfield. And if somebody gets 40 and we got to give him 41, so be it. If somebody gets 40 and I got to give him 38, so be it. It's simple.
I ain't giving them 40. I'll tell you that. For game management.
But Big Swagoo,
right?
you gotta give it to him because you developed him for 4 years. We're not talking about Mitch Trubisky, a guy that showed you nothing. We're talking about a guy you drafted as an organization, and you make a decision that you don't want him to be your quarterback. You'll run into the same problem like Dan said about the Dallas Cowboys. You mess around and he'll be getting $50 million on you.
So do you feel like Baker can lift everybody around him, or do you feel like Baker needs this infrastructure to be at the level you talking about he's at right now?
It's all about the system. I was going to say it's all about the system in which he's in. The system allows him to flourish at a different level. When you're talking about Super Bowl winning, the last 2 Super Bowls, think about the last 2 Super Bowl winning quarterbacks and look at their statistics. Look what they did in those Super Bowl games. They didn't throw for 500 yards. I think Tom Brady threw for 201 yards. Okay, 3 touchdowns, very efficient. Patrick Mahomes threw for about 260. Okay, 2 picks and 2 touchdowns. And they won the Super Bowl. The goal is to win the Super Bowl.
We need an hour. I'm going to just tell you this. I ain't paying Baker Mayfield $40 million.
What are you paying him?
I just can't. I need too much around him. I need too much around him in order for us to continue on this path we on.
The interesting thing about that is they got Kevin Stefanski and a play-action-based offense for Baker Mayfield. So already, this is even before we're talking about his deal. They're saying, we're going to put you in the best situation to succeed, which to me says they're giving him the system because they do believe